All right. And welcome back, guys, to the Self-Selecting Podcast. It's going to be a solo episode today. And we are jumping right into it. And that is troubleshooting bad workouts. Whether that be because there are psychologically some hangups, some things that kind of just creep into your brain and just, fuck your workout right up, or physiologically things that I see time and time again, whether that be with myself, with clients, with consultations, even in the DMs or in Patreon. Shout out, by the way, tier 3 is up and ready to go. So if you're interested in 4 additional episodes every single month of the Self-Selecting Podcast, you can access those here in Patreon, not here in YouTube or Spotify or Apple, wherever you're listening from. You can go to Patreon, Corey_fit, tier 3. That is where you'll get 4 bonus episodes. Talking to a few of you guys in there in the messenger, and I can, rest assured, these are problems that I deal with too. These are problems that even now, even knowing what I know, they're still, they just can be huge. They can be a huge pain in the dick. And I think not only one, like hearing, okay, like these are things that other people go through, that's helpful, sure. But really where the help comes in is being able to offer a solution, is being able to, give something that's actionable. So majority of people watching this, I'm hoping that's, really the goal that I have with this episode is to walk you through the more common, I guess maybe some uncommon problems and solutions, and to avoid having these trash workouts, ultimately allowing you to get more out of that growth phase, to get more out of intentionally not being on stage or intentionally not being shredded to the bone like you want to be. Or you're just building and you're like, I'm sick of having these like hiccups that seem to, be reoccurring. What can I do? Whether you realize it or not, you get something from everything that you do, even in the instance that you don't do something. And I think oftentimes whenever I am looking at client problems, and I mean like someone goes to check in, they write in, or maybe they allude to an issue from the week, and there's this undertone of acceptance that they approach it with. It's very much like, oh yeah, just the way it is. And it bums me out because I'm like, fuck, like I remember being stuck in that same mindset. I'm like, okay, well, I couldn't get a good pump, or, it just, I don't know, like I was distracted because internally I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like these little distractors time and time again. We want to solve those. We want to solve for those. And I think like for one, being able to identify what is and what isn't in your control. Yes, that's where it starts. I guess not really where it starts. Where it starts is identifying the problem. So let's get actionable. Let's get specific. Problems for bad workouts, problems that lead to bad workouts. I like to think about these ultimately as like internal or external problems. And like some of these maybe will make you laugh. Some of these you might be like, Jesus Christ, like Corey, is this really a problem that you've had? I hope that you can relate. I hope that you can extrapolate at least a couple solutions from said problems, and ultimately at least go forth with knowing like, hey, like you don't have to just accept this as your reality. There's very much something you can do. So this isn't a pattern or something that you fall victim to. So number one, internal, and that's kind of like how I'm gonna break this up: internal versus external. You got the internal problems, the ones that are derived from like, an internal intrinsic like feeling, let's just call it that, feeling, sensation, whatever. You're hungry, and let's be very clear, okay? You're not in a fat loss phase, so why the fuck are you hungry? Why are you hungry going into your workout when you're supposed to be growing, when literally the goal right now is to make sure that you take every calorie, every morsel? Like this is the most important time for you to be fed full. And I mean like physically have fullness in your stomach. Why are you hungry? Now I'm going to peel back the layers to this, because I think a lot of people, they're just like, yeah, like I don't like to be full when I'm training. I get it. I'm weird about my stomach too. I don't like the sensation of fullness. Yeah, it's a fucking probably a disorder in some like regard, but I'm telling you, like, this is very common. A lot of clients experience this. A lot of individuals are like, hey, it's a preference. And I'm like, okay, we can work with this. You still need to have food in you. You still, like, I don't want you to say, like, I like to train fasted. Like, I get it. I like to train fasted too. But some of what we need to do here in order, why did I just say that? I don't like to train fasted. No, I don't. Okay, whatever. I digress. I know at one point, I don't digress, I guess, apparently. At one point, I know I was very insistent that I wanted to train fasted. I guess this is good. We're going back to this. And it wasn't until really that I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to commit to growing. I'm going to commit to being in this phase where weight gain will happen. And in order to commit to that, I was like, okay, for me to feel good about what I'm doing, because this is the opposite of what I want to do, that ultimately means that I need to be willing to make sacrifices. Sacrifices are predicated on giving up something that you want, something that you want to do. If it's not a sacrifice, if you're like, well, I didn't really want to do it anyway, like, okay. So by definition, if you are wanting to train fasted and you were saying, yeah, I want to do that, that's my favorite thing to do, but based on the phase that I'm in, I'm not going to train fasted, because in order to get the most out of this workout, that means I shouldn't train fasted, like, just on principle. Like, I mean, this is the one time that, like, I need to have food in me, like really, it's very important. So in that case, I'm not going to tell you to suck it up, but I'm going to ask you whether or not you really want to get the most out of this phase. And if you're someone who's like, hey, I genuinely enjoy training fasted, I'm not willing to not train fasted. Okay, well then you've made the conscious decision that you are willing to sacrifice. You're sacrificing one thing or another. You're sacrificing either getting more out of this workout, or you're sacrificing the desire, the comfortability of training fasted. Okay, done. Solution, eat. Eat a little bit before the workout. I'm not saying you have to gorge yourself. I'm not even saying you have to, like, segment 50% of your carbs pre and post workout. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, have a fucking protein shake. Have 20 grams of protein, have 20 grams of carbs. Like, I'm not asking for much here. I'm not saying like, you can put that in liquid form. You can get a naked juice, you can get a coconut water, you can get a protein, like a ready to drink. I don't care. Consume calories. Like, really, when you're thinking about this, that is not much. I would like it if you consumed more calories than that, for the record. I would love it if you had more of your carbs pre and more of your carbs post training, and then the rest of your day you had some of your carbs. You don't necessarily need to have all your carbs pre and post training. That's pretty unreasonable. But what I will say is that if there are any issues with feeling hungry, if you're coming to me, Corey, I'm hungry before my workout, I'm hungry during my workout, so much so that I'm having a bad workout on account of that, this is your solution. Eat. Well, I don't like to eat because I don't like to feel full before I go into my workout. I don't like to feel full while I'm in my workout. Decide, are you going to sacrifice the comfortability of feeling full, or are you going to sacrifice the comfortability of knowing that, like, hey, you're not really getting the most out of this? Those are your two options. Okay. And this is going to be the style of this one. So if you don't like it, like, this is what I'm going to do here. Just problem solving, solution oriented. That is what this episode is today. You're dehydrated. So, okay, like, not most people aren't gonna be like, oh, I'm thirsty, so I had a bad workout. Maybe you have to be severely dehydrated to be like, I'm having a bad workout because physiologically I feel dehydration. Mostly how this presents is like, you didn't get a pump, or like, you just generally know, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna have a good mind muscle connection here. Okay, we can go into the why, but the why doesn't change the how. There are some things, and this is a very extreme example, so bear with me. If you have someone and they, I don't even want to go here, because I can already hear it. There are some things that you can't, like, it doesn't matter the why. Like, you've done something wrong. Like, you've chosen poorly, and no amount of reasoning, rationale, defensiveness, apologizing, it's not going to make it better. Actually, fuck it. Okay. You cheat on someone, like, it doesn't matter why. It happened, period. Like, sure, the context can help if we're, like, trying to resolve, like, understand and ruminate on, like, the why behind it, but it's like, it doesn't change. It happened. Like, pass, fail, like, the cat is inside the box. It's dead. It's dead. It's never, the two realities aren't going to exist at the same time anymore. So I don't know if any of y'all followed that. I told Jordan that philosophical thought experiment the other day. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. we're going to keep cruising along. It doesn't matter why you're dehydrated. It doesn't. It's just a matter of you are dehydrated. What can you do to solve it now that you were at the gym, you were in the gym, and like, yes, I can tell you like, hey, in the future, do better. But let's just say you don't have the ability to do better. You can't reverse time. You can't go back in time. In that case, what can you do? At the gym, if you train at a gym that has drinks, that has, I don't know, if you want to do water, BCAAs, whatever, you want to get a Mio, pour it in the water, fine. You make sure when you get in, set a timer, you got 15 minutes, get in 20 ounces of water. 20 ounces of water is very reasonable. Okay, it's too much. Okay, so every 5 to 10 minutes, get in 10 ounces of water. Break it up mentally however you need it to be. But your goal basically is like, okay, I can't undo time. I can't go back in time. All I can do is move forward and be like, well, yeah, I'm not hydrated. So therefore the consequences, I'm going to have to go through this workout, incurring a decrease in strength on account of me not being hydrated. Really, there isn't a quick fix. It's just a matter of your responsibilities now to hydrate the best that you can and to not let this be a repeated pattern. If it's something to do with, let's say like, hey, I just didn't prioritize it prior to getting to the gym, really what I'm going to say, your solution is to prioritize it as you do adherence, like adherence to your diet. I mean, like a lot of people, they kind of let like sleep, water, like recovery, stress management, those all become very transient because you're like, oh, like I managed stress pretty well today. Whereas like adherence to the diet is less qualitative. Like it's very much like, I was on track or I wasn't. I'll never forget this. I had a fucking client reach out. She's like, hey, sorry I haven't checked in 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know if I've been adherent. Who knows at this point? And I'm like, you know. How would I won't know? You know, absolutely. Like, and she left like a very long, like just, it was the thing, but she like walked me through. She's like, like I hit my macros every day. I wasn't 100% on track. And I'm like, these things can't exist at the same time. I don't understand. Like, just help me understand. Like, were you or weren't you on track? Because if you were not on track, then you are not adherent. Like, and to what degree were you not on track? When it comes to hydration status, that is something I like to treat very similarly. And I can say, like, it is very clear in my mind, in my face, whether or not I am adherent when it comes to hydration, because often I'm like, at this rate, I will not be adherent. At this rate, there's no possible way I will be able to hit the amount of fluid that I need in order to be adherent today. And because of that, the next day I'm like, are we going to make the same mistake again? Are we going to start today off and wait till noon to start drinking water? And the answer should be no. The answer should be like, hey, you're aware that you're making this mistake. Let's not continue to make the same mistake again and again. And if you're not aware of it, I mean, that's I guess a separate issue, but if you're aware of it, there should be the active pursuit to correct the errors so that it's not a repeated mistake. So water, okay, make it a priority. Just make it a priority, set the timer, literally break up. You need 100 ounces of water. You got 10 hours. All you have to do is drink 10 ounces of water. That's 10 gulps. Like that's 10 swallowings that you have to do in an hour. Like you can do it. I promise you can do it. It just has to be important to you. Now, the next one, mental state. Yeah, we're on number 3. You're feeling shitty. You're just in a bad mental state. Let's say, okay, you're on your period. Maybe you fought with your boyfriend. Maybe you scrolled through IG too long. Maybe you went on Reddit and like you feel crappy. You just feel pissed off. Okay. I'm telling you, like more often than not, especially like later half of my cycle, that is how I'm training. Like I go into the workout. I'm like, I go into the workout and I'm like, this isn't how I want to feel, but okay. I made a promise to myself. I committed myself to doing this. And if I let how I feel dictate whether I do the thing, this is a whole waste of time. Like all of this, I'm just wasting. I should just quit, frankly, because the fact is, more often than not, I'm not going to feel like wanting to do this. My desire will be to have a good session. But frankly, will I always be in the mood to have a good session? No, I won't, because life is hard. And there are things on a regular basis that are very unexpected that happen in my life semi-frequently that I'm just like, oh, well, that happened. Now this is a fire. And unfortunately, I can't deal with this fire until after my session. So because of that, what I have to do, I have to do the next thing in line in the conveyor belt. And the next thing in the conveyor belt is me having a session that is productive and not me saying, nope, I'm not going to have a session today because I don't feel like having it. I get it. Like the fighting with the boyfriend, like, yo, that was like a constant thing at one point in my life where it was like, great, like now I gotta go have, I'm irate. I'm so mad. I'm so pissed. To be honest, get yourself out of that situation. If someone is fucking fighting with you before you go to your workout, like every single time, it's not healthy. That is not, and you don't need me, like you shouldn't need me to tell you that, but I'll be the one to tell you that. Get out of that situation. You scrolled IG for too long. Okay, well, we can like make it really simple and be like, yeah, you should have a timer or something, or some degree of like, at least like responsibility of like, I'm not going to overdo this. I get it. It's addictive. Like that's not a secret, but one thing that has really helped me, especially going through a build, gaining a little bit of weight, I'm like, okay, when I'm on IG, I do try to take ownership of like how it's making me feel. What kind of things am I looking at? I love seeing fellow competitors, fellow friends get super shredded and get ridiculous and then talk about it. And like, even I'm reading their caption, I'm like, this is a little eating disorder-ish, like this like heavy push into like, just be lean always. Love them. But hey, that happens quite a bit and we can't really control what someone else is going to post. But if what you're finding is that like in the phase that you're in, the state that you're in, if it is generally making you feel shitty or feel inadequate to look at these things, then get out of the mental masturbation echo chamber of just, oh, well, like, woe is me, this pity party, because that is all that it is. Like, it's just one-sided. It's you looking at this wall of people that are making you feel like shit unknowingly. They have no idea that this is happening. You are the only one that's going to get yourself out of that position. And the way that you do that is literally just close the app. Close the app or go to the search feed and type in raccoons. Type in raccoons, type in otters. There's a lot of other cute animals that you can type in. Those are the two that I go to. I follow a lot of those pages. And whenever I know I'm getting a little weird with like looking at people's physiques and it's not making me feel good about myself, I'm like, we're going to change trajectories. Maybe I'm still going to scroll IG, but it's going to be for cutesy stuff. It's going to be for things, it's going to be for horrendous reels and memes and just comedians being, very offensive. But we're going to push pause on the physique stuff. We're not going to expose ourselves to that because what do we have to do here in a second? We have to go work out. We have to go train. And if you're putting yourself in a bad mood, why are we doing this? That's not productive. That's not in line. It's not conducive with you having a good workout. Okay. Number 4, you're feeling weak. This one plagues me every month, same time of the month. Flo will tell me literally every month, oh, you're going to bitch about feeling weak today because you've done this the last 9 months. And prior to that, the reason you don't have any logs or you don't have any kind of recollection of you doing this before then is because you didn't log. I'm telling you every month around the same time. Like it's like literally the week before my period, those last 3 lower sessions, that final week, I can be recovered. I can be overfed. I can be, just completely like metaphorically high on life and just like, okay, I got my pre-workout. I'm ready. I'm recovered, got a massage, and I can still go in and be like, this is hard. That's where I think being very clear about like, okay, why is it that I feel weak? Do I feel weak because of any like obvious reason, like Occam's razor? Is it because I'm about to get my period? Is it because I'm on my period and that's exactly what's causing me to feel weak? And does this happen every single month? Okay, if that's the case, tell yourself, and I encourage a little bit of like firmer like self-talk. You don't get to be mad about that because this is expected. This is something that very much we can like accept. And I mean, I'm mostly joking, but like truly for me, like I think like intellectualizing and making sense of why these feelings might happen and where they're coming from and whether I even agree with them or not. I feel weak and now I'm upset and now I don't want to work out because I feel fucking weak. Hey, Corey, it's the week before your period. Like, of course you feel weak. You felt weak and look, okay, see, the next week, you know what then happens? You come back, you get your period, and you're not weak. Like overnight, if you were to compare the weight you lifted last week to this week, it looks like you did so good. It like you increased weight so much just if you look at those two single weeks. Now, what I will say though, if it's not that, if it's not an instance where we can be like, yeah, you know what? It is the period. That's what's lending to this decrease in strength. Let's look at recoverability. This was a big one for me recently. This last like month, I really struggled, and this is where I am so grateful I got to lean on Jordan, because he's like, hey, we can make sense of this. We can give you the objectives that you need, but it's truly going to take you accepting that not every workout can you just send it. You can't go in and just have this expectation that you're going to be able to train at max capacity, because you're training glutes and you're training glutes at a frequency and you're training at an intensity where you're trying to bury yourself. And if you're burying yourself, like think about this, like even like picture it, like you're burying yourself, like you have to dig yourself, like you have to recoup. And if you're not giving yourself enough time to recoup, which training glutes, training lower 3 times a week, like there's barely enough time anyway. There's probably going to be a day in between. It's probably going to be that legs B session, lower B, where ultimately it is lower stimulus. The intention is different. And I think like we've had some really good conversations, which at this point you will be able to access my episode with Dr. Jordan Dunta on Patreon tier 3. That is up and live now as of early September, where we talk specifically about that. Is like being intentional with the training, being very clear on like, what is my purpose today? What am I trying to accomplish? What is realistic? You can go in and you can say like, okay, the goal is to send it. The goal is to do everything under the sun to the best of my ability. But if you've not recovered well enough to support that, to support you, like truly like you being able to get everything that you want out of this session, well, then that expectation, that is unrealistic. And it might be disappointing if you don't calibrate those expectations prior to going in. So big things here. Is it rooted in reality? If it's not rooted in reality, then do your due diligence, talk the irrational version of you that is now on the ledge, talk them off the ledge and be like, hey, we don't need to be mad about this, because this is a feeling. It is transient. It will pass. It is not rooted in reality. It's not something we need to problem solve right now. The anxiety is coming from wanting to problem solve. And if the problem is not rooted in reality, we don't need to necessarily problem solve. We just need to get out of that feeling. And that might mean and like grounding in a physical sense of like, if you're like looking at IG and you're just like, oh, I feel weak and this girl's lifting this much and like this is what I was lifting before and now I'm fatter and I don't like the way I look and I'm not able to perform. It's like, yo, just like stop, go outside, touch grass, don't look directly at the sun, but look at the sky. Something to that effect. Remove yourself from the situation that's perpetuating you being in this state, this point in which you're not being able to be productive. All right. And doubt, uncertainty, maybe even confusion. Okay. If that's the mental state that you're in, if you are doubting, we need to understand, what are you doubting? Are you doubting the training split? Are you doubting like the entire program as to what you're doing? Are you doubting the phase that you're in? Be very specific. Is it the movement? Is it your form? Is it whether you should feel more of a sensation? Is it whether or not you should be doing more reps? And like, I strongly encourage, like some people are like, you need a journal. I'm like, you need to write your thoughts the fuck down, like write them down so that you can see them and you can like ask yourself, like, do I really feel this way? Like, is this exactly what I am bothered by? The more you peel back those layers, keep going until you're there and you know exactly what it is that's upsetting you or creating this like sense of uncertainty. In the instance that you were doubting the movement, that you were doubting the form, whether you should feel a sensation, I'm going to say, unless you are an expert, unless you are working with an expert, unless you have someone like a trained individual who is like assisting you during the lift, it's probably not wise to make that modification. It's probably not wise to just be like, oh, I don't feel this, so I'm going to make an adjustment. And it's not to say that you can't make adjustments when you're training. It's not to say that isn't appropriate, but more often than not, I see people make these like intra-workout adjustments to what they're doing in a way that's conducive with them just simply feeling better. Like just like in almost like an indulgent way. It's like, okay, the same thing, like, okay, you don't want to eat what's on your meal plan, you feel bored, you feel like stressed because of the diet. So you go into the kitchen, you put something in your mouth, you're just like, feels better. Cool. That is the equivalent of what I see. Individuals will, instead of like sticking to the program, they will start doing things like the metaphorical stick the junk food into your mouth and be like, see, it worked. I feel better because I did this. And now you've built that habit of any time that you feel that bad feeling, anytime you have doubt around a thing, you just change it and then you're good and you're good to go. I think for most people, they're not really equipped to have the capacity, have the knowledge base that is going to allow them to make an appropriate adjustment, that's going to allow them to make an adjustment that is conducive with a better lift, that doesn't completely derail what their programming is. And maybe you go and you're just like, I just as once, I need like a fuck it. Like I need just to go off straight sensation. I'm going to do a lot of tempo. I'm going to do a lot of isolation work. I'm going to skip the compound. Maybe that makes sense. And it could make sense if the context is correct. But I wouldn't do this regularly. I wouldn't have it be a thing that every time you feel doubtful, every time you feel uncertain, and frankly, if that's something that you're feeling often, you need to outsource your training to someone who is equipped to handle it, to manage it, to coach you in it. Just telling you like, hey, here's your training split, go do this, train to failure. That's not really training coaching. And that's something that like over the years, I've had people tell me, they're like, yeah, everything you're doing is working. Couldn't be doing anything better. Do you know how many renditions I've heard of people tell me that? It's like, yeah, you're fucking perfect. Like your training is perfect. Now my training is perfect. Now my training is almost perfect. And that's because I have like one of the smartest humans in the world helping me with my and they're incredibly intelligent with training. That is a huge differentiating factor. And I think like the amount of smoke that gets blown up people's asses when it comes to just train hard, just train until you feel a glute pump. I mean, it puts you in this position where ultimately you equate effectiveness with sensation and completely forget about the aspect around intensity and whether there is enough runway to sustain this and whether exercises are ordered in a way that makes any semblance of sense. But I digress. When you go back to like, okay, you're doubtful of the movement. You're doubtful of the way you're doing the movement, the form, the intensity. Okay. In training, for someone who's not like the highest skilled or who's not like has a full understanding of like what could be an appropriate modification, I would recommend not making that adjustment. Instead, what I would do is do your best to slow down the movements, really aim to eliminate all distractions. So is there something that like, maybe if you spent a little bit more time on the warm up, is there some kind of limitation related to your mobility that like, frankly, wasn't there last week? And now that's affecting your ability to stay in the right position. Okay, potentially that's the case. Is it just the fact like, you reflect, you're like, okay, I'm not very hydrated. I'm not very fed. So in turn, I'm not getting the same kind of sensation that I would be getting otherwise. In that case, okay, well, we know that 5% decrease in hydration status will equate to about a 20% decrease in strength. All right. So some of this could be physiologically modified if you'd been on top of like X, Y, and Z. But if it's truly just the fact like you're uncertain about what it is you're doing, I would consult with an expert. I would consult with someone who does this specifically for a living. I would work with them. I would run through your program, run through your concerns, because truly, if this is not your expertise, I wouldn't aim to just, piece together shit you see on Instagram and be like, well, this is what this girl does. And this, and this makes sense. And her glutes look like this. It's like, you can derive some motivation, sure, from it. But like, I'll just tell you, there's a lot of people doing things incorrectly and compensating with a shit ton of volume and a shit ton of drugs. So it's like, don't fall victim to just the ignorance of, well, this is what everyone does, so it must be the most effective way. people do a lot of things wrong and get away with it because we don't have a high standard of training within the realm of female bodybuilding, even more specifically the bikini division, because we don't really have a lot of people educating specifically on like basic principles of hypertrophy. All right, next one. Are you tired? Did you get enough sleep? Did you not get enough sleep? Are you trying to train glutes every other day and you're trying to train for 2.5 hours and you're just overall just under recovered? Really going back to the sleep thing though. Let's say you didn't get enough sleep. Are you in control of getting more sleep? The answer for most people is going to be yes. Very few people are not in control of this. And I gotta say, like, I've had people tell me, they're like, yo, I am in a living situation where my partner makes it impossible for me to get more sleep. That's not good. And I don't mean in the sense like you're married and your partner's snoring, okay? Or I'm a light sleeper, my partner gets up to go. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about someone who doesn't respect that you want to get more sleep. You've expressed this and they don't give a fuck. They're like, I don't care about your sleep goals. I don't care about you building a juicy ass. I don't care about you getting stronger and getting hotter every day. I care about my ability to watch TV a little bit longer. I care about my ability to come and go in the bedroom and not give a fuck about you and whether I wake you up or not. I know I'm being dramatic, but I kid you not, these are things that I hear regularly when I go into it with clients. I'm like, walk me through your bedtime routine. Like, tell me what bed looks like for you. What's the last hour of your day look like? And they're like, well, I would ask my boyfriend, but like he gets a little grumpy, gets a little pissy, and now we have a fight right before bed. Yo, dude, is this happening often? Oh, it's happening 4 nights a week. It's happened every time that you've tried to like make some kind of suggestion around better sleep hygiene. Get out. You shouldn't need the internet to tell you that's not healthy. It's not healthy, okay? If you are in that kind of situation, do what you can, but largely get out of it. I'm going to say that like when it comes to controlling your sleep routine, you should be able to reasonably get to bed at the hour that you want to go to bed at. If it's more like a you thing, you're like, hey, physiologically, I'm not tired. Like I'm not having the sensation of needing rest. Let's work backwards. Are you having stimulants too late in the day? Any kind of stimulants. Are you having extended release stimulants that last a little too long? Okay, maybe we look at not those. Are you potentially having pre-workout later in the day or at a point that frankly, like every time I have it at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m., oh, it's not that late. Okay, it should be fine. You look at the like plot out your stimulant intake. Look at the last time that you have stimulants. Look at the types of stimulants and the amount that you're having. Caffeine has about an 8-hour half-life. Synthetic caffeine versus like a natural source. I mean, you're certainly going to see differences in how it's metabolized. And I would strongly recommend, if it's an issue like you are not able to get to sleep at the correct time that you want to go to sleep at, then address the stimulant intake. Address the last time in which you have it. So next thing, when we look at other disruptors, so outside of person or caffeine, room temperature, white noise, sound, just generally being on your phone too close to bed, watching TV, I can tell you, like, I'm not someone that, I used to be someone that would like just have TV going and like it was a thing I needed to fall asleep to TV. As I've gotten older, I found I get like irate. I get so mad at myself. Like I'm like, oh, you fell asleep to TV? Like I hate that. Because then I got to wake up and I was so sleepy. I was in such good, deep, like natural sleep. And now I'm awake and I got to move my ass to the bed. And I'm like, oh, like I'm never going to get that deep of a sleep until I actually do. I'm never going to get that same deep of a sleep. And I wish I had just been in bed already to set the environment for me staying asleep. Yeah, it takes a little bit more, just a smidge more effort to be like, I'm on the couch, I'm getting tired. Well, we are watching the Mayor of Kingstown, and now because I will fall asleep here in the next 5 minutes, I should suggest that we go to sleep. We should go to sleep because I will sleep better not being interrupted here in 15 minutes. I'll just go to sleep. I'll just get up, go into the bedroom, and then fall asleep. It sounds really rudimentary. These are real real conversations that I've had with people. These are conversations that I've had with others around my own sleep, and really dissecting, be like, okay, what is the issue? Why is sleep hygiene so bad? There were times where I used kava, GABA, melatonin. I still smoked. Like I had like a whole list of sedatives just to get me to sleep. I can tell you, it's a lot easier, instead of adding a bunch of shit in to help you fall asleep faster or fall asleep consistently. And this is especially true if you're not in a fat loss phase. It's a lot easier just to take accountability for the environment and the actual behaviors associated with getting to sleep and having a consistent sleep routine if sleep hygiene is the root of the issue. But I do want to go back, because I know there are some people that are like, hey, workouts, that's where the issue is. I'm tired. How do I solve the problem of being tired whilst in the workout? You get caffeine. You get caffeine into your system, and depending on what time of day it is, maybe the caffeine ship has sailed. Maybe you are unable to get caffeine because you know that will in turn fuck with your sleep. Then you do your best. You do your very best, and then tomorrow you know that, hey, this is my cutoff for caffeine. So even if I'm not going to work out, if I know my workout's going to start at 5, but I know 2 is like the latest I can have anything, maybe you have a little bit of caffeine at like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. max. But you're doing what you can prophylactically in advance to check that box so you don't have the same issue repeatedly. Now, on the notion, I kind of touched on this, but it really is its own, like, it's its own thing. Under-recovered. You have to ask yourself, is this expected? Is this something that, frankly, you could have anticipated and you knew, like, from the fact, like, just the fact, okay, you're training glutes 3 times a week. You train glutes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like I do. And you're like, okay, well, Monday, I sent it so fucking high. Like I went so hard on Monday. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to recover by Friday. And it's Wednesday. If it's Wednesday and you're like, that was a really good workout. Okay. Wednesday, we adjust our expectations. That's what we do. You take the L. You just accept it, and you kind of give your, self the nod, and you're like, okay, cool. This means that I may need to increase food. I may need to be in a position to support better recovery. And maybe you can increase food. Maybe it is a matter of just this day specifically. This day is not going to be as sick as you want it to be. That now falls into intrinsic issues, expectations, recalibrate that. If you can't recover better than you already are, then the answer is to adjust your expectations. Okay, now we are getting into the external ones, which maybe these are dumb. Maybe they're dumb. Let me know in the comments if they're dumb or if they're not dumb. Let me know, just like tally up which ones you have experienced yourself. Okay, external, the outfit. The outfit. This is one that, I shit you not, I've heard time and time again from different people. And even the people that like don't say it directly, oh, it was this, I can just tell. I can tell in their videos. They wore something that was a little too skimpy. They wore something that made them actually feel the physical feeling of like cold. Like you were cold in the gym because your gym has normal temperatures and you're in very small shorts and a sports bra and you're uncomfortable because even with the sweat, you're still like, I don't know how to thermoregulate because my body just thermoregulates at this point the way it does. And in this outfit, it is not good. I don't feel comfortable. I have goosebumps. And even in like, the fall, the spring, it's not enough. Okay. In the essence that you are cold and your outfits are making fucking cold, put more clothes on. Like, it's wear your cute shit. Like, wear it. I get it. Wear it. Invest in the stuff that makes you feel good about the yes. Make function and effectiveness of the workout a higher priority than just showing it off. And that's not a knock because like, hey, when I feel confident, I'm like, yep, I put thought into my outfit. I put thought into like how, shit is like matched. I do, but not at the expense of being cold. Being cold ruins all the fun for me. As soon as I'm cold, I'm miserable. I do not thermoregulate myself very well. And that's something that immediately it becomes a very, very big and undeniable limiting factor for how good of a workout I was going to have. So by principle, I'm always usually in pants or some kind of hooded top jacket, and it can always come off. If I get hotter, okay, cool, it can come off. But like, don't set yourself up to be cold. That's like a really easy one to avoid. The other one related to outfit, being self-conscious about what you're wearing. The shit's just like too tight. You feel like you're overexposed. Like your tits are out, your ass is hanging out. You forgot that like these pants, they don't really stay where they're supposed to stay during this workout. Just whatever it is, have clothes that function for your needs and that you feel don't cause this unnecessary risk of there being, some kind of malfunction and you flashing the gym. You don't want that. And I get, like, I've had people send in videos where I can tell in their body language, I can tell there's the 1,000 little adjustments to the pants, and you gotta pull the pants up the ass, and like, then you gotta pull the part of the bottom of the shorts down, and it's like, you're not comfortable. You are actually, and again, not a knock. It's just like you're focused more on your outfit at this point, and like you look cute. Don't get me wrong, but you're not doing a photo shoot. Like I need you to be able to train and not be so distracted. So this really does come like full circle. Like I need to eliminate the distractions, and if your outfit is distracting you from what you're doing, we need to fix that. Shout out to Crazy Yoga. That's where I get all my shit from. This Lululemon dupe on Amazon, free returns on Amazon if it doesn't fit, or if you just decide you don't like it all of a sudden. Crazy Yoga, CRZ Yoga. I don't have a discount code. Their shit's like so reasonably affordable and very cute and high quality. Definitely recommend. Same thing in that is just like being comfortable, like just have things that generally you're comfortable in, that you can do the things that you want to do with, fucking shoes. Do not stop it. Stop doing leg day in running shoes. Stop using these Balenciaga, like fucking just like 5-inch cushion. Stop putting Bozu balls on your feet and lacing them up. Like you cannot apply full foot pressure. You can't. And I know I said I was talking about being uncomfortable. In this case, I need you to be able to do what I need you to be able to do, which is to apply full foot pressure. And you can't do that if you're trying to balance because your shoe is so cushiony. You can wear these shoes. You can wear them. But when you're doing your exercises, when you send me videos, fucking take your shoe off. Put your whole foot flat on the ground so that you can adequately create full foot pressure and you know where that's going to be and you can maintain it the entirety of the movement. Okay. People in gym timing, just externally. Okay. People in your gym, fucking creepy. I've had a guy ask me to sit on his lap, a guy who thought literally that was an appropriate thing to do in a gym setting at my last gym. I don't train there anymore. Gold's Venice, guys. That sadly wasn't the weirdest thing. Just generally, okay. People, gym timing. This isn't going to be the answer you want to hear, but it is the answer I'm going to give. And that is, I do not go to the gym when it is a zoo. Like, I don't like it. It's not enjoyable for me. There are unnecessary conversations that oftentimes take place, and I have to have them, and I have to be nice, and I can't be, frankly, as much of a bitch as I want to. And also maybe some of the people don't deserve me to be a bitch. But generally, I would say that if you're finding, and this is something like it's more like reactive, if you're like, okay, I didn't plan accordingly and now I went to the gym later in the day and it's a zoo and I got to see the creepy dudes, and then the creepy dudes, they think that I want to talk with them because I am facing the same direction they're facing, so then it becomes a fucking thing. If that's the case, you got to go to the gym at a different time. Don't go at the time that they're there. And I know some people will be like, you're saying I need to yeah, okay. I'm telling you that's the reality of being a woman. It's the reality of being a woman is guys can be so creepy and just have no awareness around whether or not you want to be involved in a social like thing with them. And as much as I would love to say like, yeah, just like, stand up for yourself, tell them to fuck off, make sure they're not creepy. That is exhausting. And the times that I've done that and guys have gotten aggressive with me and just been so mean, just so unnecessarily mean to my face because I've been like, don't fucking put your hands on me. You don't know me. I'm a stranger. And then it's turned into a whole thing. It's like, I don't want that. So I will take the very small amount of effort it takes to avoid that situation when possible. Is that right? Is that the way it should be? No. Is that the reality at most gyms? You tell me. Kind of on the same note, with less of like the misogynistic like feel to it. Not enough space in the gym. Frankly, same concept is like, okay, you go at a time where literally all the machines are taken. You have the guy that's doing like deadlifts as well as squats, and then he's supersetting it with like lateral raises, and then you have the girls that's doing like 4 different movements, and like she's like, no, I'm using all of these and I don't want you to work in. Okay, this also happens. People are fucking rude. Is it the way it should be? No. I don't like getting into unnecessary conflict because, frankly, I won't want to scale it back down. I will want to enforce my opinion, my view, if it gets to that point, and that won't be very nice. And that's not something I want to have to do regularly. It's also not something that I want to be a part of my day regularly. So frankly, I'm going to go when the machines aren't taken. I'm going to go when I don't have to tell the person that they're kind of being a fuck by taking up 4 machines at a time. I shouldn't have to do that. Like, that shouldn't be like a part of me having a gym membership. I shouldn't have to like enforce gym etiquette. So what I'm going to say is, if you are cool with that, and it's not exhausting, it's very taxing on me. I don't know if that's an introvert trait or an extrovert trait. I am extremely taxed by having to be like an authority with like basic human kindness and consideration. But if you're cool with that and you're like, I don't care, I could do this all day long to each one of these people, it doesn't bother me whatsoever, sweet, go to the gym whenever you want. I'm going to say though, even from an efficiency standpoint, I don't want to go to the gym at times where I'm going to have to wait for things, or I'm going to have to make substitutions to my lifts, because frankly, like, why would I want to do that? I want to follow the exact same lift that I want to follow at all times. And I want to be able to be as selfish as I want to be, and like in the exact order that I want to be. And I don't want to have to wait. And yes, I know you're probably like, Corey, you should have a home gym then. I don't though. And frankly, because of that, I want to do so in a way that's not disrespectful to other people or doesn't impose that on other people. So I want to go at a time when those things are likely going to be available. Do you need to go at the ass crack of dawn? Do you need to get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym? No, don't do that. Don't fuck your sleep because of what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, don't go on like the unemployment hour when everyone is at the gym and everyone's got the tripods and and don't do that. That's probably the worst time to go. All right. And last one, working out with someone. I can tell you, having training partners throughout the years, like, I have largely trained with past boyfriends. I currently train with Jordan like most days. He's amazing training partner. Probably one of the few training partners that I'm like, wow, like this has never impeded my workout. Whereas I've had training partners in the past, male and female, who frankly, every single workout, every single one, I just chalk it up to they're going to ruin my workout. Like, they're just going to. And maybe part of that's because I'm like not like telling them like, hey, what you're doing is fucking ruining my workout, or you're just not training very hard and you find a lot of ways to get out of the movements that we said we're gonna do, or I know I want to do, and it's just kind of a buzzkill. It's kind of an energy suck. I had a girlfriend that I trained with, like I like her as a friend. But frankly, she's like, I just want to do what you're going to do. And like, I took her through one of my workouts and I was like, it's not a good fit. It's just not a good match. Like, she doesn't get like the rest time. She doesn't get like, hey, I don't want to like do the selfie thing, on these like in between like warm up sets, working sets. I kind of have like intention, and I it's not that I'm a prick. Like, Jordan and I talk most, like, big part of our workout, there's conversation happening, usually just fucking around. We're usually saying things we probably shouldn't say in public. But I will say there's like an understanding, related to like his training age, and then me just knowing like how he likes to lift, how I like to lift, where it's just much more cohesive. But I will say even that, like, I have wondered at times, like if we're training at the same time but doing different things, it kind of crosses my mind with him and with other people. I'm like, oh, am I taking too long? Like, are they on board with what I want to do? Are they going to do as many sets? Are they going to, and I mean, shocker, I overanalyze, I intellectualize everything. Yes, I know. But with that, I really would just suggest, if you're going to train with someone, if you're going to work out with someone, you do need to be honest about like whether working out with them is actually hindering or helping your workout. I can say that like I absolutely train better with Jordan because he I don't know if I mentioned, he's really fucking smart and like training is his thing. So like he's very he's such a good resource when it comes to like having him as a training partner. But then also he's also very good as far as coaching. Like he coaches Olympic weightlifting. He coaches a lot of individuals at very high levels, coaches professional athletes. And with that, he has a good litmus as to when to be involved, when to give critiques, when to encourage me to push, and when to be like, yeah, I don't think you need to push. Like, I think you're good. There are other people that I've trained with that, like, frankly, I'm like, they kind of build in like cop outs and they're like building cop outs to their own workouts. And it's just not good energy. It's just not the kind of I don't know, environment. Energy is probably the best word. It's just not the kind of reinforcement that I want when I'm really trying to progress my lifts. And especially if there's any shit around like them wanting to leave early, which like I've had this happen so many times with men and women, where it's like, this is very much like a social hour. It's not necessarily like a training session. And don't get me wrong, there are some times where that is my expectation. Like I go in knowing like Andrew Walker, like I've trained with him a handful of times. And whenever I've trained with him, it's like, I'm catching up with him for the first time in several months at that point. And like, he's someone who does train very hard, but whenever we work out together, I'm sure it's a very different experience than when he works out with, let's say, Boss or like his different coaches. Like that's someone that I would say genuinely, I'm like, no, like I would love to just sit down and chat with you, but let's like go ahead, we'll do like a workout, but like the intensity is going to be modified on account of that. I think when it comes to generally troubleshooting these issues, these ones that are like external, outfit, just, hey, like maybe you didn't know that like it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. You didn't know that it like, okay, whatever, just don't continue to wear that thing. That's the solution. People weigh out the cost benefit. And like, I mean, like, hey, by all means, I've gotten myself into positions where I've had to like, whatever, stand up for myself and like just tell someone like, you're being a dick. Like just be more respectful. Sometimes that happens. Like that happens even when it's not a busy time. It happens actually like quite frequently just because gym culture sucks major dicks. But what you can do is honestly just be cognizant of what you're doing and, also what other people are doing. And I am going to say like generally shying away from putting yourself in an environment where you're probably going to get pissed off. You're probably going to have people be assholes. It's just like generally like I don't like being around that kind of crowd. So I don't go to the club. I don't put myself in positions where I'm going to be around people that generally are aggravating and annoying to me. Working out with someone, have the hard conversation. Sure. Yeah, you can. You can also just be like, hey, like we can train. I am going to be following like a specific program. And I think like, I think I actually told Jordan that the first time. No. Oh no. I'm thinking about, way back when I had a guy ask me out. This was forever ago. I had a guy ask me out and he's like, let's go do a gym date. I was like, okay, fine. Went to it and he was like, let me train you, because he's a personal trainer. And and literally I was like, I'm following like a specific program, but like, no, it's totally cool. I'm gonna do lower, like you do your thing. And like it was like very respectful, but I also wanted to like set boundaries. Like I don't want you to put me through a cardio program. And frankly, if you can't fucking handle me like setting that boundary out the gate, like you're definitely not someone I want to date. And it turned out I was like, as you can imagine, it was terrible. Like, I mean, he literally just like critiqued me the whole time unsolicited and was like, well, I think just, okay, whatever. I digress. Have the hard conversation. Go ahead and like, I mean, if it's like a girlfriend and you're just like, fuck, like she fucks up every workout that I do because she doesn't know how to train. Like, I don't know. If it's a good enough friend, have a conversation with her. Be like, you train, like, kind of train like a little bitch. Like kind of like, I know you want to have a bigger ass, but how you're training is kind of a drag. I don't know. I haven't had to have that conversation because I just generally don't train with a lot of my friends, because some of them do not like working out, which is a very interesting concept. But I digress. You can go about modifying any and all of these solutions, but the fact of the matter is, like, some of these days you're just going to go in the gym, you're going to feel like shit, you're not going to want to train. Control the things you can control. And frankly, like, do your best to prepare. You can't be mad about it if it's out of your control. And some things are going to be out of your control, especially the external factors outside of like the outfit. I guess maybe that should have been more on like the internal, really just like other people. You can't control their actions. So if it's something that someone else is doing, you kind of got to like take it on the chin and be like, whatever, like it's just the situation. But anyways, hope you guys liked this episode. Hope it was helpful. As always, I will see you in the next one.